Magnum Packin' Patriots, you're watching a special live broadcast of the Tap Rack Bang Show. I'm Ryan Frazier. Riding shotgun with me, as always, is the tactical tackle himself, Tyler Witzke. Tyler, how are you, buddy?
Pretty pissed off.
Pissed off and tired. We were up late last night. For those of you who are unaware, late yesterday evening, the U.S. Senate finally released the text of the gun control package that we've been warning you about for weeks. We've been fighting against it. They dropped the text, and as we predicted, it's loaded with all the gun control that we knew was going to be in there, funding for Red Flag to the tune of millions and billions of dollars, bad breakup gun ban, and more. And also, as we predicted, the fine print of it, which we're still analyzing. There's 80 pages, and it's all legalese. It's like reading radio instructions, chock full of gun control provisions, millions and millions of dollars allocated for all kinds of gun control. And moments after the bill text was released, the U.S. Senate called for the first vote in a series of votes on this gun control package. We're here to unpack it for you, let you all out there know what exactly is in the bill, what happens next, and what you can do to fight it. But first of all, we just want to tell everyone to call their senators right now. Is the best thing that you can be doing. We need the phones in D.C. to be ringing off the hook. I don't want D.C. staffers to be able to place their lunch orders today because pissed off gun owners are calling to fight this gun control package. So, Tyler, what number can they call to be put in contact?
202-224-3121.
That's right. Do it now. We'll let you know which way your senators voted, but either way, if they voted right and voted pro-gun, call them and thank them. But just voting right now is not enough. Like, the numbers aren't looking good. So if they voted right, thanks for voting right. But you also need to be fighting this. You need to be speaking out against it, and you need to be talking to specifically the Republicans, but any senator that is your colleague that voted for this gun control package to advance. Obviously, if they voted wrong, give them a piece of your mind. Be non-threatening, but respectfully tell them they need to reverse course. Their pro-gun voters are pissed off. So, first of all, I think we need to break down the events that took place last night and what's happening next. And for that, we're going to pivot to an expert on the situation. We're bringing in Chris Stone, the Director of Communications for the National Association for Gun Rights. Chris has worked on the Hill for a lot of years and knows a lot more than we did Senate procedures. So,
yeah,
welcome to the show, Chris.
Yeah, I appreciate being on. It's unfortunate circumstances, and really just what I want to do is kind of give a breakdown of what happened yesterday. We won't go deep into the weeds, but just want to explain how deplorable this situation really is. Obviously, the guys are going to get into the text of the bill, but how Congress manipulates rules and bills to take away your rights. And so obviously John Cornyn and Mitch McConnell have been working with Chris Murphy and Chuck Schumer behind the scenes for a while now to ram through this gun control, get quote-unquote bipartisan gun legislation. Sunday, June 12th is when they released their framework, basically stating what was going to be in the bill, but we still didn't have any text. Even though we didn't have the text, we started messaging on it right away because we knew it was going to be bad. We knew that it was going to be chock full of gun control. Nothing in it was going to respect your rights. So we started cranking up the pressure. And unfortunately, other groups, especially the NRA, they were very silent. They didn't actually say anything at all on this issue. And then when this week rolls around, I think Monday, Cornyn and Murphy basically say the text is going to come out this week. We're going to publish it. Well, yesterday, both senators get on the Senate floor after they've done some other business on other things in the United States Senate, and they say the text is going to be published tonight. So that was last night that they said that. And then the text was eventually published. One of our staffers found it. It was buried deep on Chris Murphy's website, and it was an 80-page bill. Now, remember, trying to read an 80-page bill, that may not seem that long, but it's not like sitting down to read 80 pages of your favorite novel. All of it is essentially talking about U.S. code. So unless you have the U.S. code memorized, it's strike and replace, add this, add that. And to sit down and digest it, for people to really understand it, will take a while. So they publish this text, and we're trying to figure out, okay, when are they going to start dealing with this? Well, as I'm sitting in my office watching C-SPAN, Chuck Schumer takes to the floor. and essentially stands up, gives a brief speech. I'm talking like 30 seconds or less. And then it's him and one other person. I think it was Patty Murray, who was in the chair's position. And he essentially says, I want unanimous consent to bring this bill to the floor now for a procedural vote. Now, here's where it gets weird, right? Well, constitutionally, any bill that contains spending has to originate out of the House of Representatives. This bill is chock full of spending, especially for red flag gun confiscation. So they can't just take a traditional vote in the Senate, since that is where the bill originated and it has funding in it. So what they did, and they do this all the time, and this is why all legislation is important, is they took this shell bill from the House. That is all it is naming essentially a post office, I think, in a federal building. And he takes this motion and says, what we want to do is we want to take the text and use this fancy term to basically insert it into this bill and then send it back to the House for their approval. And no one was on the Senate floor. We're trying to figure out exactly why that happened. My theory is, Mitch McConnell and Cornyn, who've been whipping their fellow Republicans, basically said, you guys can all leave for the day. We're not doing anything. And essentially in that moment when he says that, the procedural vote to send this back to the House is starting now. And it's just a simple vote. And that's what happened. No one knew that this was coming. And so they took this bill, they rammed it into another House bill, and it passed, I think, yesterday, 64 to 34. There was 2 absent votes. And so right now what's going to happen is the House of Representatives is most likely going to vote on this today. So you also need to take that switchboard number and call your member of the House and tell them to oppose this bill. And then the bill will go back to the Senate for 2 more votes. They'll have to have a cloture vote, which is a 60-vote threshold to proceed to the final vote, and then that vote. So right now there are 3 more votes left. We do truly have an opportunity to stop this bill, but we just kind of want to give a breakdown of that. That's how the D.C. swamp works. None of it is open. None of it is transparent. No one had time to sit down and read this bill. You cannot truly digest everything that quickly. And even if you could, they shouldn't be voting on this in the first place because it's chock full of gun control. And the guys are going to break down in detail what's in here. Our legal staff at the foundation were up most of the night last night going section by section, referring back to the U.S. Code to see everything that is going to happen. So, again, there's a lot more detail that we could get into there, and we'll probably publish some one-pagers that'll be on our website if you want more explanation of what happened. But this is how they operate, is they don't want you paying attention. They don't want you knowing what's really going on in Washington, D.C., and they take bills and they chop them up and they twist the rules, and people aren't there and acting. And it's really frustrating, too, especially because we have staff in Washington, D.C., but because of all the COVID rules that are still imposed in Washington, D.C., to actually get in the building and lobby is really, really difficult right now. And so these senators are essentially getting a free pass to almost do whatever they want. So these calls are vitally important to crank up the pressure and say, you cannot vote for this garbage. Again, like I said, you also need to call your member of the House and remind them to do that today because they're going to vote as well. So that's just kind of a breakdown of what happened. They're saying they want this bill on the president's desk by this weekend. So the urgency is real. This isn't like we have a couple weeks. We have literally hours, maybe 24 or 48 hours or less to get this bill killed. And it'll be difficult, but if we get people involved, that's our best chance of taking action to save our Second Amendment rights.
And that's why you need to share this video with all your friends.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So.
And that's an awesome breakdown. And so why are they so urgent, Chris, to get it done by Friday?
Well, they want to get it done by Friday because they're all lazy and they want to go home. They want to go home for the holiday.
They're going on vacation.
They're going on vacation, essentially. They're going to keep reaping their massive 6-figure salary while the rest of us are getting crushed by inflation, and they want to go home for the holiday. And so this is why, if we can do whatever we can to slow it down, our guys in D.C. are talking to some of the pro-gun patriots that we work with there to try and figure out what we can do to use the rules to slow down this bill. But what we can do is truly try and flip votes back and let these people know, if you vote for this bill, we're going to vote you out of office.
Yeah.
You know, that really truly needs to be the message, is this is not acceptable on any level. This is the worst gun control that we've seen pass. I mean, you know, some people say, oh, well, it's just a procedural vote. No, this is a vote for gun control. The next 3 votes are votes for gun control.
Absolutely.
And they need to know, if you vote for this, the voters will vote you out of office and you'll lose your job. So it is really imperative that we all take action and hold these people accountable for what they're doing.
Absolutely, yeah. So the next Senate vote is the cloture vote, you said, is the 60 vote threshold, and beyond that, it's a simple majority.
That's right.
So do you anticipate that some senators will vote yes when it's a 60 vote threshold and then change their vote for the next one?
They probably will. It's a very common thing. It's a way for them to lie to their constituents, essentially.
Absolutely.
The cloture vote is the most important vote. That's
Yep.
the one to say we are proceeding, we're cutting off debate, and we're going to proceed to actually passing the law. And so a lot of these people will get a free pass from, you know, they'll whip count, they'll get a free pass on the, you know, quote unquote actual vote and vote no.
Mm-hmm.
So they'll go back to your district, they'll go back to your state and say, no, you can see right here, I voted no. And so if people do that, that's why we're going to make sure and publish all these votes, so you're armed with the facts that you can turn around and say, no, you voted for all these votes that truly set this up, the most important ones. And so that's why we need to crank up the pressure, that if we can peel people off for that cloture vote, because stopping in the House will be really hard. We don't know. Maybe we can. But if we can peel people off that cloture vote and make sure that it doesn't get a 60 vote threshold, that's where we probably have our greatest chance for success.
Yeah, it's essentially right now it looks like we need to peel 6 votes.
Yeah.
Because we had 64 from yesterday, and Toomey was a no vote, but he was on the committee. His fingerprints are all over this bill. So we're looking at it. They're at 65 yeses right now. So we got to get 6 to get under 60, and that's on all of you guys. We have to make it crystal clear to the lawmakers that we don't give them a pass for a procedural vote. They'll think that the final 50 vote threshold is the gun control vote unless we make it clear that no, every one of them's a gun control vote. So make your calls.
Absolutely.
Well, Chris, do you have anything else to add for that, or we might need to get you back to work?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I do got to get back to work. I know you guys are going to give a better breakdown, but just to remind everyone, I know we probably sound like a broken record, but doing whatever you can to take action literally right now, even if you mute us and walk away from this video, to pick up the phone and call them.
Share it before you do.
Yeah, share it before you do is vitally important. Get people involved in this, and don't let these senators get away with telling you that this isn't gun control. I mean, this bill contains literal gun confiscation, almost virtual bans for certain age groups of adults to own firearms. And it's just a reminder, too, that it's frustrating that groups like the NRA basically sat on their hands for the last 2 weeks. And then as the vote was taking place, you know, their idea of lobbying is sending out one tweet saying, we don't support gun control. And this is a serious problem. And so we need to hold everyone accountable in this fight to preserve our Second Amendment rights.
Absolutely.
Amen, brother.
Thanks
for coming on the show.
Yeah, man. Appreciate it.
Right on. Okay, so yeah, I'm gonna throw it out there one more time. 202-224-3121 is the Capitol switchboard. They will direct you to your congressman and to your senators. Please make those phone calls. We need to be louder than Moms Demand Action, than Everytown for Gun Control, Giffords, all of them, because you know right now that they're talking to their people and telling them to do the same thing, but to push their lawmakers to voting for this gun control package.
And they're
fucking good at it.
Yeah, they even tweeted about it last night, saying, you know, this is the first step. You know, they're coming for so much more.
Yeah.
So, and they know that the Republicans are on board right now, because literally there's 14, 15 of them?
Yeah.
Yeah, who were they?
15. All right, so 15 Republicans. So we're gonna do our shout outs now. 15 Republicans who, mind you, voted with every single Senate Democrat. And if you go on and look at the video from the Senate last night after Cornyn spoke, it was pretty infuriating to me. The first thing he did, he pivots, walks over, and has a nice friendly handshake with Chuck Schumer. And if that doesn't send you a message about how corrupt this sneak attack was, I don't know what does. It sent shivers up my spine. It pisses me off. But yeah, so here's the what should we call them? The feeble 15, the frail 15. You comment below what these Benedict Arnolds should be called, who, mind you, abandon their constituents, are traitors to the Constitution before they go to celebrate the 4th of July. Is the irony lost on them that, American independence, the U.S. Constitution, Bill of Rights is what we're about to be celebrating, and how do they go into their vacation by blasting patriots in the ass?
Right.
All right. Without further ado, Senator Blunt, Senator Burr, Senator Portman. We said earlier, Senator Toomey was a no vote, but he was in on the committee, so go ahead and add him to that list. He is as good as a yes vote. John Cornyn, Tom Tillis, Senator Cassidy, Senator Collins, Senator Graham, Senator Romney, Senator McConnell, Senator Murkowski, Senator Capito, Senator Ernst, and Senator Young. If any one of these is your senator, be calling them right now and tell them how you feel about this. And also if you're represented by a Democrat, they also voted for it as well.
Yeah. And I know some of these guys may have higher aspirations or so after being in the Senate. You need to let them know that they made a mistake. They voted against their constituents, their gun-owning constituents.
Yeah.
So let them know. But should we get into nuts and bolts of the bill?
Yeah, so make your calls. We'll break down what we found so far in this bill. Like, we've got lawyers combing through it now, and we're still finding new stuff, which is pretty ridiculous considering
they voted on this.
They voted on it, and
within hours of the text
yeah.
being released, and we're still combing through it.
Yeah.
And we're still finding stuff.
Yeah. So 64 senators voted yes on a bill that they had no idea what was in.
Yeah.
So let's just hit it. I'll take the first one.
Yeah.
Bans gun possession based on juvenile records for all gun owners. So anyone in America, if you did something stupid when you were a kid, those records are now being forced into the NICS database. So every time you fill out a 4473, take a background check, no longer can something that be chalked up to you being dumb as a kid. Now it's your Second Amendment rights are tied to your behavior as a child.
Yep. Number 2, strips gun rights for adults based on mental health care after the age of 16. So that's ripe for abuse because it's very vague. Mm-hmm. And, I mean, there's a lot of veterans that go through mental health care as well.
Absolutely. You think about the implications of something like if you're seeking mental health treatment, but you're also an avid hunter or a big, supporter of the Second Amendment, you love your gun rights, are you going to choose not to get the help that you need because
right.
You're going to be chucked on a list and have your constitutional rights stricken from you?
If anything, it makes it worse.
Yeah. Opens up decades-old juvenile records, dumps them into the NICS prohibited persons list, uses them to disqualify gun purchases for law-abiding adults, kind of like what we touched on before. Screw up as a kid and you lose your gun rights forever.
All right. Makes it virtually impossible for 18 to 20-year-olds to purchase any firearm and includes a 10-day waiting period. So current law is if you go to buy a gun and you don't receive approval, denial, anything after 3 days, the gun shop, the FFL, whoever's selling you the gun, can give the gun to you. And so they want to make that or turn that up from 3 days to 10 days. And we've talked about it before, and it's essentially denying your right to self-defense.
Yeah, as we've said a million times, a right delayed is a right denied. Think of the 20-year-old single mother who's got a violent ex-spouse or ex-partner threatening her life. She might not have 10 days. She might not have 10 hours. She needs to be able to protect her family. But we all know that bureaucracies always work efficiently. I think anyone who bought a lot of guns in 2020 and 2021 knows that there are certain times where getting a background check can take days.
Oh, yeah. Weeks.
And it's not your fault. It's not because you did anything wrong, you have anything bad on your record. It's because the bureaucrats collecting a check are leaning on their shovels and taking their sweet-ass time to process, the I in NICS is such a joke. Calling it an instant check is ridiculous to anyone who's ever bought a gun and waited days and weeks for it. So this is saying that they can sit on their hands for 10 days before they, grant you your right to own a gun, even though, once once it's at that level, it's not a right. It's a freaking privilege if you're having to wait until they give you permission. So, yeah, another crappy one. Moving on, authorizes $750 million in federal funding for state red flag gun confiscation programs. It says here with no due process protection, which is how it is for every red flag. So this is just free money for the radical
Taxpayer funds.
Your money that they steal from your paycheck to give to right now a lot of blue states with the highest crime rates in the country who already have red flag, who are already violating the rights of their citizens, denying them their Second Amendment rights and their Fourth Amendment rights. But also it's a little incentive for maybe some wishy-washy red or purple states that have been on the fence about passing red flag. Well, now they have a financial incentive to pass these draconian laws, and they have cover from Republicans in Washington, D.C., who basically gave them the green light. Yeah, go ahead. Not only are we cool with you passing these corrupt laws that we're too afraid to take up, but we're going to give you money. Yeah, like freaking Oprah handing out cars. Republicans in D.C. are handing out cash for red flag, making it rain.
Yeah, and even more taxpayer funds. $300 million to dump juvenile records into the Nix Brady system and start reporting on them without due process.
Yeah. More of the same. Stripping gun rights due to toxic dating relationships or bad breakups. The left will try and frame this, and I guess I gotta stop saying the left because it's just as much the Republicans as well. But Cornyn was speaking last night right before the bill text dropped. They're trying to frame this as the boyfriend loophole, but that don't let them define their terms because they're gonna make lies about it. It's a bad breakup gun ban. Like Tinder breakup ban. We've been joking about it. If you've got an Amber Heard style ex-partner who wants to crap in your bed and then accuse you of abuse, I don't have Johnny Depp money. I can't pay for that level of lawyers to clear my name, and nor should I have to. But again, it lines up a lot with red flag, unsubstantiated accusations, placing the burden of proof on the accused. So completely flipping due process on its head. But yeah, bad breakup gun ban. If you've had a toxic relationship or a spiteful ex who thinks it would be funny or amusing to take your guns away, this is giving them the path to do so.
Yeah, and then this is one we're still getting into the legalese on, but it could open the door for a senior citizen gun ban via suspicious funding for the Medicare Improvement Act. Holy crap. They're coming after everyone.
Yep. Yeah, no one's safe, from kids to seniors.
Yeah.
Joe Biden's going to have to give up his shotgun.
Joe Biden doesn't have a shotgun.
And then opens up the floodgates for prosecution of law-abiding gun dealers. This has, been a pet project of Biden, always targeting gun dealers and gun manufacturers. Again, these are American businessmen or just law-abiding Americans who buy, sell, trade guns.
Yeah, and FFLs are already under an immense amount of pressure because you got to make sure every T is crossed and every I is dotted.
Yeah.
And they're even cracking down more on them, and it's just going to make it virtually impossible to run an FFL.
Yeah, or is it going to get to the point where Grandpa passes away and you can't inherit his gun collection without filing and making yourself an FFL or like a million different things? Is anyone who ever sells a single gun all of a sudden have to be a licensed gun dealer or go through all the rigmarole and bring in third parties and stuff? It's just forcing more government into your constitutional right to keep and bear arms.
Absolutely.
And that's what all of this is just corrupt misuse of your taxpayer dollars and forcing government into every aspect of your rights as a gun owner and restricting more people from executing or using their Second Amendment rights. Yeah. Excuse us if we're a little choppy with our speech today. We got the coffee flowing. We've been up late last night, and it's going to be some late nights these next couple days. But here at the National Association for Gun Rights, we are not going to stop fighting until this thing is over. And even when it's over, we're going to make sure that every politician who votes to restrict your Second Amendment right is held accountable at election season. We're going to spread the word of who voted to deny you your rights.
I think there's someone else that needs to be held accountable, and we kind of touched on it earlier.
Who's that, Tyler?
That needs to be the leadership at the NRA. 'Cause
Absolutely.
Holy crap. Again, we talked about it. They basically went silent until the text was released. They sent out a tweet. Oh, we're against it, but
Well, before that, their tweet said, we're waiting for the bill text
Yeah.
before we take a stand on this.
meanwhile, we
We were fighting because we knew
Yeah.
that it was pretty predictable this was going to happen. Text drops, they call for a vote immediately. So waiting for the text to drop just plays into their hand. That's extra time that they don't have to feel the backlash from their constituents. But the thing is, the people writing the bill, these 10 Republicans that were on the compromise committee, were all like 8 of them were NRA A-rated members who have received millions of dollars from the NRA. So do you think it would have been that hard for Wayne LaPierre or anyone in leadership at the NRA, instead of waiting to see the bill text, what if they just pick up the phone? You know, you gave these guys millions of dollars. I bet you they'll answer your call. Yeah. Give them a call. Hey, what you working on there, Cornyn? What's in your bill? Oh, a whole lot of gun control. Okay, well, we're not for that.
Yeah.
But instead they sat on their hands. Well, NAGR and some other gun groups other than NRA were fighting, but I didn't see anyone making a stink as much as we were.
Yeah.
NRA sat on their hands and then sent one little meek, mousy tweet last night saying, well, we oppose it.
Yeah.
A lot of good that did.
Yeah, and the NRA has given millions of dollars to these people. The top 11 senators that they have given money to, 9 out of those 11 voted for this bill. That's $40 million that the NRA gave to these senators who voted for this bill.
And mind you, if you're a donor to the NRA, if you're a life member, if you've ever been a member, that's your money.
Yep.
That's money they accepted from you. Maybe it was a $5 donation. Maybe it was a $1,000 life membership. I don't know what their rates are. But they took your money, gave it to these senators who just wrote and voted for the largest gun bill that we've seen in a generation. That's what they're doing with your money. And please don't take this as us talking down to NRA members. We've both given money to the NRA over our lives. You know, we got a card right here. We love you. A lot of our members are also NRA members, and that's fine. Like, we love you just as much as everyone else. The problem is with leadership. We had Lieutenant Colonel Alan West on our show last year talking about the Texas constitutional carry fight.
NRA board member.
Sitting NRA board member, and we asked him, where was the NRA during this fight? He says they were missing in action. He had to work with Texas Gun Rights, our state affiliate, and the National Association for Gun Rights to make sure something happened. Otherwise, Texas would still be waiting on constitutional carry.
Absolutely.
But again, they're taking your money, giving it to the very senators who are passing gun control. So in the next 3 days, if they don't do something drastic, I mean, that's them absolutely betraying the sacred trust of their donors. So I'm staying tuned to their Twitter, to all their communications, to see what they're going to do, because their tweet from last night is not going to cut it.
No.
These members can hold on to their A ratings for the rest of their career, and when election time comes, they're hoping that you all forgot what they voted for, and when anyone asks them about gun control, they're going to hide behind their A-plus ratings and probably continue to collect millions of dollars of your money.
Yeah.
If you're an NRA member.
Yeah, if you're an NRA member, do what you want, but you know what I'm doing with this card?
Yeah.
See you later.
Probably long overdue, but like this one, like the straw that broke the camel's back. Like, you look at all of that money.
$40 million.
And what did it pay for?
Gun control.
Literally the largest gun control bill since Brady.
Absolutely. The
Yeah.
assault weapons ban.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, A-plus rated, A-rated senators who were on the committee who wrote the bill, the NRA claiming that they wanted to wait to see what the text was. That's what gets me is, like, how dumb do you think we are that you didn't know what was going to be in the bill? Just based on the outline, you knew that the bill was gun control. Yeah, the framing of it, the first bullet point was funding for red flag, so that should have been enough there. But even if that wasn't enough for you, pick up the phone, Wayno. They're your
Absolutely.
friends.
Yeah.
I guarantee you, if Wayne LaPierre called John Cornyn, he would pick up because he wants those millions of dollars come election season to keep trickling in.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, these. I don't even know what to say at this point.
Yeah, I think at this point we could wrap it up.
Yeah.
But we can't stress enough, if you've been watching this video, share it. Stay tuned to communications from the National Association for Gun Rights. But above all, get on the horn. 202-224-3121. If your senator voted for this, call them. If your senator voted against this, call them. Call your representative. If we can completely shut down the switchboard in D.C. and show them that this is political suicide to support this thing, it means your career. We've been watching the news, I think we can start a movement that will make the news. Fox News is starting to cover it.
Yeah.
But again, the greasy nature of these politicians, you wonder also if they were knowing with what's coming down in the Supreme Court, thinking that they can get cover from the media because the media is going to be covering those, massive and important decisions where they'll distract the public while these guys can vote for gun control and slip off on vacation.
Yeah, and keep in mind, any of these decisive votes, say if we got a pro-gun bill in Congress, you're not going to have any Democrats voting with Republicans on that.
Yeah, that never happens.
And yeah, we saw a tweet last night from a White House staffer that I'm reading right now. Biden admin officials are referring to the senator as, quote, cave-in Cornyn. So he gives them
at us.
Yeah, he
Not
gives
us. I don't want to tie ourselves to Cornyn, but
they're laughing at Republicans
Yeah.
because they give the White House something that they want and they shit on him.
Yep.
Literally.
I mean, yeah, they're calling this a compromise, and Cornyn came on and said, not everyone's going to be happy. Some thought it went too far. Some didn't think it didn't go far enough. But there's no give and take to it.
No.
It only moves the bar in their direction to a little bit more of your freedoms are taken away. It's not like, they took a little bit of freedoms, but they gave gun owners something.
Yeah.
It's all and no take for gun owners.
Absolutely.
Which is why we're fighting it tooth and nail. So please make your calls. Share the video if you can. Your donations to the National Association for Gun Rights would mean the world to us. We won't be giving millions of dollars to the politicians that betray us. That is our sacred value. We have nothing but respect for all of our donors, and we use their money more wisely than any gun group on the freaking planet.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you for tuning in. We got to get back to work. See ya.